Hello, today we're going to talk about Student Technology Leadership Program. It's commonly called STLP. Some of you have been hearing about STLP for years. In our district, we have been involved with STLP since 1994, which was the year STLP began in our state. We have had winners at multiple schools. Um, from the youngest of ages to the oldest of ages. Some real neat successes, including lots of scholarships. We've also got some of you who maybe have never heard of STLP. And so this little video and slideshow really is intended for kind of all audiences. Those of you that are veterans, there are things that we have not been doing that we can add, and those of you that are newbies, of course, you just got to pick somewhere to start. And so that's the purpose of this slideshow. Shouldn't take too long of your day. I'm going to try to record this obviously as a video, but then I'm going to link this presentation from Google Slides, either in the emails or on YouTube's description or somewhere like that. So let's break down the parts and pieces of STLP. First of all, it is a Kentucky entity. It is not national or international. Kentucky would love to see it grow, but at this point it's not. So you're thinking, well, that's got to be pretty small if it's only Kentucky. That's not at all true. STLP is the largest student organization in the state of all of KDE. Last year we had around 60,000 student participants across the state. That's 139 districts, 751 schools. In DCPS, we had several of those, but not all of our DCPS schools are involved. And that really is something I hope changes soon, maybe even as a result of this video and some of our upcoming communications. So STLP is defined, and you can see this kind of stuff on their website, which is really good. But the idea is that it's an empowerment for students, and then it's based on projects that they're already doing. STLP does have its 6 goals. You can see those. You're welcome to pause the video and go through those. I think that's going to take longer than what this video is intended for, so I'm going to go forward. You're looking at students either doing products, projects, or services. And then those things are typically presented at one of 3 big events, and that's either regionals, DPOJ, which we'll talk about what that acronym is in a minute, and then the state championship. Regionals in our case is in Bowling Green, and state is in Lexington. STLP is not meant to just be a club. It's fine if you have a club. If you've got a group of students who stay after school or before school and work, that's fantastic. That makes you really good at what you do, but it doesn't have to be that. You're really talking about showcasing products and projects that your students are already doing in class. So the 3 big events: regionals, DPOJ, and state. Let's start with regionals. Regionals for us is held in Diddle Arena on the campus of Western Kentucky University. The deadline to register is, for this year, October 21st. So some of you are going to be looking at this video or presentation after that date. That's okay. There are things that you can do at state that are live events. We'll talk about those in a minute. But if you are interested in going to regionals with a showcase or with a service project, your deadline is the 21st, which if you look that date up, that's a Sunday night. So really you're talking about the Friday before you go home. And then the event itself is held on the 4th. That is a school day. And so the district will help out with subs and buses and things like that. Again, we'll talk about those things in a minute. So you're thinking about regionals, you want to go, what is it that you do? The link on this page will take you to the rubrics. There's a list of all kinds of rubrics there. The big item is always the showcase, what we call a project showcase. And so I've got linked on here the rubrics. It's a very exhaustive rubric. The good news about that is when it comes time to judging at the event, it's very fair, it's very accurate across the levels. And so your students can stand before a group of judges, present orally what they've done on their project with a small display board at a table behind them. That's always fun. The kids love that. What kinds of categories could a student group or individual group, individual or group do for their showcase? You've got 1 of 4 categories: instructional, technical, service, and then this year they've added entrepreneurial. And those 4 categories are only there so that on the day of the event, the judges can try to judge all of the same things so that their judging is fair. In reality, all 4 are in the same big group, and they will all advance or stagnate exactly as a large group. And again, those categories are just to kind of help shape the judges. It's not all about showcase events, although that's how STLP got started, and that's what it's kind of known for. There's more than just the showcases, and so there's also things called service teams. Here's a list of them. You'll notice that the engineers is a big fancy thing. That's for high schools only. That is very, very limited. There's a couple of our programs in DCPS that might be able to send a couple of kids there. But it's largely networking so that they can help other events happen. We don't usually have students going through that. The others that you see listed below STLP engineers are all things that are somewhat journalism, PR related. So you're looking at media arts, social medias, productions, and so on. So you can have students individually or in groups work towards those things. Other than regionals, we're going to have a gap here where we talk about DPOJ and then we'll go to state. So DPOJ is for Digital Projects Online Judging. The state STLP coordinator will tell you that that's a horrible name for an event, and so he's looking for suggestions, but it is what it is for now. The deadline to register is in January on the 13th, and so you've got projects that you've been doing in classrooms all year long. Teachers have been asking students to do things they didn't even realize were DPOJ products, and it's just a matter of collecting them and submitting them. And you could check out that link for the categories, but here is a page showing them. And I won't go through them one by one, but take a look at them. You're talking about a lot of creative arts, infographics and music and photo documentaries. So a lot of these things that teachers will assign to their students, for, typically for larger end of unit projects. Those are the kinds of things that you're going to see here. So that brings us to state. And state is held in Rupp Arena and its connecting Lexington Convention Center. The deadline to register is not yet posted, but it's typically in the winter. It will happen on the 18th of April. A note on this topic is this year, as Rupp Arena is starting construction for renovation, so they said they might have us a little bit of everywhere around that big facility. So expect some changes for those of you that are veterans. How do you get to Rupp Arena? How do you advance to the state level? You can have the live events, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You can be pre-qualified, and that means that you have gone to regionals and you have advanced through the scoring process to get accepted to state. And then there's also people who want to just show up and learn while they're there. You wouldn't want to bring a group of students to do that, but if your school wants to send a couple of adults just to learn what it's about so that the next year they can be more prepared, that's the idea there. So this is just a graphic showing how you would go from your local level, advancing from the regionals onto the finals. Where it shows level 2 and level 3, that's semifinals and finals, that's really all in one day. It's just early in the day is level 2, and then later in the day, once they've whittled down to the finalist, it happens in the afternoon. And then that evening on Rupp Arena's floor is a large ceremony. So live events on site, there are 27 live events that can be done individually in pairs or in teams. And it's a much larger list than I can list there. So we're going to go on with that other than the link. DCPS ourselves, what do we do to help out with these events? So at regionals, we've got buses that we organize to take all of our schools there. Typically it's 4 and sometimes 5 buses and sometimes some vans as well. We do pay at the district level for 1 substitute per school. Sometimes that's enough. Some schools have to dip in with some others depending on how big your group is. But we try to organize as much as we can, and that's all in one day. So the parents drop their kids off at a certain location, and then we get them back to that same location later on in the afternoon. And this is all within school hours. Then we have a district showcase, and you're kind of wondering, well, why do we do regionals and then district? Well, district is not a precursor to regionals. We don't have to do a district. We do a district as a means of showcasing things for local parents who may not be able to go to the other events. And then also it's important that this becomes a practice round for state event. So this is typically a week or 2 before the state, and this is a good practice round. So that brings us to state. Again, we're going to do buses. Again, we're going to do vans. Again, we'll pay for a substitute, just like we did at regionals. At state, we pay for lunch the day of, and then we also have stipends. And you can contact Mr. Sparks for more details on how the stipend works. Here's a graphic, a table, if you will, of what we've been doing. So that lists all of our schools, and then you've got the 4 columns showing whether it's showcase, a live event such as robotics, whether they do DPOJ or they've done service projects. And then, of course, there's a column with the contacts for our existing. Notice that there are some empty spots there, which tells you something. Those are places we'd love to have some things filled in. But even for our best of schools, notice that not everybody does everything. We do have lots of showcases. Robotics has been growing lately, thanks to Whitesville Elementary School and their leadership there. But then look at DPOJ. That's one place we'd love to see that grow. There's no reason that every school in the district doesn't submit something for DPOJ. It's not a day out of school, and it's not anything extra in a club. This is really just turning things in that you're already doing in the classroom anyway. You can see from this table that we've got lots of place we can grow in STLP in DCPS. So all your school needs is a person to act as the STLP coordinator. You saw from this table that we do have several coordinators already. If you ask any one of these names, they'll tell you that they'd love to have help. So look out for that person. And then again, you see that there's lots of blanks on that list. So help out in that area. What are we asking you to do watching this video? How do you get going if you want to get going in this direction, if you're brand new or even if you're a veteran? So you need to determine, who's doing what. And then step one is really a get recognized. And there is a link on the STLP website for the state that says get recognized, and that really is the first step. Even if you are a veteran school, that is still step one of registration process, which brings you to the next step, which is registering for regionals. Again, that date may have already passed you up by the time you get to this point. If you're seeing that just real shortly before the deadline, do know that when you register for regionals, they let you sign up with kind of generic placeholders, just saying this is my school, this is a generic name for a project, and I'll give you the details later. That you're fine doing that. Level up badges. Again, there's a spot on the website that will show you right here. This is what their website looks like for registration and then badges. If you've not followed badges in technology education, it's called gamification, and STLP kind of goes along with that. And you can see these are just a few examples. There's really lots of them, and so your school can earn kind of recognition as they earn more badges. We have lots of help for our sponsors in our schools. Our sponsors help each other out quite a bit when asked. Chaperones are good for help. Please reach out to us and to other sponsors as you need help and as you have questions. I'm glad that you watched this. I'm glad hopefully you paid attention all the way to the end on the very last slide. But what we're really looking for is to grow STLP in our district to be a state contender. We have been a leader in years past, and we'd like to hold on to that, and we'd like to encroach onto that DPOJ area where we've had a very poor showing in the past. Again, some of your schools have been doing STLP well for years, and then there's other schools that we would love to get a good, strong start. So please reach out, let us know how we can help, and thanks for watching.